I said before the weekend I would take 3 of 4 points from the Maple Leaf games. I'm going to tell you why I wish I didn't do that. That's coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody, and welcome into this Monday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You could watch us on YouTube. You could sign up for the text club. You could do that by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSabres. Today's episode presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app right now. Visit FanDuel.com. Win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Sneaky Joe DiBiase here on a Monday. Couple of Sabre Leaf games to talk about over the weekend as the Sabres beat Toronto at home, and then they get a point in overtime against the Maple Leafs on Saturday night. Today, going through some of those games, whether or not it's okay to actually not be happy with the end result, 3 out of 4. And also a lot to say today on the goaltending situation, which is very up in the air going into this week. Downright maddening. For most fans, it's maddening, I think, right now. So we'll get to Luukkonen, Lyon, Ellis, what happened on Saturday, who was supposed to start, who did start, the goal that goes in the third. I got a lot to say on the goaltending. That's coming up a little bit later on today's show. I'm going to start right off, though, with Friday night. Was a really cool experience. I mean, cool is putting it lightly. Being at game 1 of the World Series in Toronto was like the number one sporting event I have ever been to. I got lucky. Of course, that was at game 1 and not game 2 because you had the grand slam and you had the 9-run inning. In game 2, you only had the 1 run if you were a Toronto fan. So maybe not as great if you went there, but being at the center of the sports universe is very, very awesome. Toronto, so it is a Leaf Sabres game in the regular season that is on while the game is beginning in Toronto for Blue Jays and Dodgers. And it was funny. So I went with a buddy and we're hanging out in Toronto. We're like, oh, we're going to get there early. We got there at like 6 o'clock. Game starts at 7. The Sabre game starts at 7. And the Blue Jays game starts at 8. So we're like, all right, we're going to go something to eat, get something to drink. And we'll watch the first period, give or take, of the Sabres Leafs game. And then we'll walk over to Rogers Center and get into our seats. And that city is so buzzing about the World Series, as they should be, that it didn't matter where we went. We checked and looked inside on 3 different places, and nobody had the Leaf game on the TV. Not even on the TV. It was World Series pregame. That's what they had. And we weren't going to ask to change one of the TVs because, again, it was only going to be one full period, not even a full period probably, that we were going to watch. It was funny. Nobody was paying any attention to that game in Toronto. But, of course, they had bigger fish to fry than a Leafs regular season game. But I got to see the whole first period, watched back the second and third period after we got home on Saturday, which was a tiring day. So I was just sitting at home and, let me throw the game on. And, by the way, when you know the result of the game and you're going to watch it back, I try to watch back every game that I miss for whatever reason. It stinks when you know that they lose the game to go back and watch it. To know they beat Toronto 5-3 and know who scored, all right, know how it happened. The Tuck gets a shorthanded goal. A lot more palatable to witness. And listen, text club, very valuable. Your thoughts along the way. I was reading those as I was watching, and I agreed with most of the Sabres outplayed the Maple Leafs on Friday night. And honestly, I thought they outplayed the Leafs on Saturday. We'll get into some more of the numbers on it, but I just want to start with the general feeling of taking 3 out of 4 against the Leafs, being let down that it was only 3 out of 4. And I think it being okay to be let down that it was only 3 of 4. I mean, for me, I want to have some level of modest expectations for this hockey team. And the expectation is to break the playoff drought, right? That really is it. And listen, 3 out of 4, when you put it in that scope, sure, I said it even before the weekend. I would take 3 out of 4. But then you see how it happens, and you go, well, wait a minute. Would you take 3 out of 4 if I outplay them both nights and I have a lead with 5 minutes to go in the second game and my goaltender gives off a softie and then I lose it in overtime because Owen Power just forgets that he's playing hockey for a second and his controller dies and the puck goes into the corner and then it's a breakaway back the other direction? If I laid it out for you that way before the weekend had started, would you then have taken it? And maybe you still would say yes. I would say no, because I'm trying to make the postseason, and that Toronto team is not the Toronto team of previous seasons. They are going to be scraping and clawing for every point this year to make the playoffs themselves. I think that Leaf team, and I was saying it going into the weekend, maybe that was your first chance to watch them, and maybe now you agree, I'm not sure. That Leaf team is going to be one of the Sabres competitors to make a wild card spot this season, or maybe the third spot in the Atlantic Division. But they're going to be in the same neighborhood as Buffalo. And to gift wrap them a point is not a great feeling. That should have been 4 points for Buffalo, 0 points for Toronto. 3-2, brutal. Put it that way, and maybe you'll think differently about the weekend, because I think that's a team you're competing with, and instead of it being 4-0 for points, it ended up being 3-2. You should have had a lead they should be sitting right now with 7 points, and the Sabres should have 10 points. And instead, it's 9-9. And that shouldn't have happened. And it only happened because of the Sabres goaltending. Now, you want to look at some of the numbers and point to like, well, maybe in this period, the second period on Saturday, maybe wasn't the Sabres' absolute best. Fine. There were some periods of time where the Leafs were really buzzing around in the Buffalo end. You want to point to the third period a little bit and how even Dakota Joshua's ability to get that shot off, where Alex Tuch, all right, let's look at Alex Tuch here. He's in a contract year, and I've been watching him, and I don't know if he is going 120% like you would hope. And on that play, he kind of lets Joshua fly by him, and the shot is there while Tuch is standing off to the side. I think he could have attacked Joshua, and he could have prevented the shot, or he could have deflected it away, and he didn't. And all right, you want to blame him in part for it? Go right ahead. To me, though, at the end of the day, what you had there was an easy wrist shot from a player that is not that offensively gifted by NHL standards that beat Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen on his glove side without traffic in front of him, by the way. There was a guy to his side, but clear vision, clear path of vision between him and the shooter. It was not the Bo Byram goal before that, which was 4 bodies in front of Caden Primo, including 2 of the Sabres, Josh Stone and Alex Tuch. That is a valid excuse for not seeing a puck and letting a soft wrister go by you from distance. The Joshua goal, about as bad as it gets. Again, though, you look at the rest of it and you want to feel good that, all right, the Sabres did outplay the Leafs in both games. At least that's how I looked at it. If you look at both games, Sabres, shots were pretty close. Shot attempts were pretty close. The scores were pretty close, of course, as well. I mean, you could look at a lot of different things, but in totality on that weekend, the Sabres special teams, I thought, looked better than the Maple Leafs did. I thought at 5-on-5, they looked better. I thought they looked like a team that was able to match Toronto with their speed, but also was able to be more physical at times. And I think match them with skill. I don't think this Leafs team is the most skilled team in the league. I think you look at the two rosters and they're actually a little bit comparable. There are a couple of players at the very, very top of the roster that are asked to carry the load. Tage Thompson, Austin Matthews. Thompson scoring a couple of goals over the weekend, which I thought was pretty predictable for him because he had been getting a lot of chances and he ended up doing it. By the way, 8-1-1 now in my betting record. And that doesn't even include the Tage anytime goal, which was my secondary bet that I picked the other night. Tage now with a couple more goals and a couple of wrist shot goals where he's actually beating a goaltender clean. On the Toronto side, Austin Matthews is their sniper. Sure, again, like their second and third best offensive players are probably better than the Sabres. The Sabres don't have a Willie Nylander. And John Tavares is a better second-line center than anything the Sabres have. But 1-12 on the forward group, I think the Sabres can match Toronto when it comes to offensive firepower. So That's a Leafs team that I think was gettable, and I'm impressed by the Sabres' play in both games. Really let down by the goaltending. So some of the numbers on the goaltending I want to get to when we come back, and then what are we going to do with Luukkonen, with Ellis, with Lyon? The plan going forward, I think it's an easy call. I already felt this way last week. I feel even stronger about it. We'll talk about that coming back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. I'll have my bet of the night tomorrow for Sabres and Blue Jackets, which is a 6:45 puck drop, by the way, on Tuesday. Hockey season is back. The NBA is back. Today, Sports Equinox. Baseball, basketball, hockey, football, all in the same day. Go check out the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You got some promos for that. And, of course, getting all that action on FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score first to third period comebacks. If you like a team that's down going into the third period, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout as well. Keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team is making a late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So maybe you pick someone to score in tomorrow night's game. You get that right, and then you get $300 in bonus bets if you're a new customer, if that first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. 5-3 win on Friday against the Leafs. 4-3 overtime loss against the Leafs on Saturday. A couple of individual plays that I wanted to get to before we talk about the goalie situation heading into this week and beyond. Some of the goals from this weekend. Mattias Samuelsson, 2 goals, both nice, like good shots coming in from the point and beating the goaltender clean. Why can't I remember who started for Toronto on Friday as I pull it up very quickly? Anthony Stolarz, of course. Anthony Stolarz gets beat twice by Mattias Samuelsson. Both nice wrist shots. This is a continuation of Samuelsson's game just really being on top this season so far. He's been one of the Sabres' better defensemen, one of their most consistent defensemen. He's not a guy I'm ever going to expect to score. 2 goals in a game. He'll probably go his entire career without scoring 2 goals in a game. But in this game, he did. So good pinches in, good finds. The pass by Rasmus Dahlin on the second Samuelsson goal, they made it 4-2 on Friday. I mean, that pass, he knows where that pass is going before the puck even arrives. Because when the puck arrives, watch that play back. Dahlin has his back to the cross-ice pass that he's going to make, which is where Samuelsson is. He whips around and fires it almost like a snapshot on the tape for Samuelsson, who then has an open wrist shot. That pass was maybe the best pass I've seen by a Sabre so far this season. Kulich gets on the scoreboard. The Tuch short-handed goal after a nice steal by Owen Power, a really lazy giveaway by Oliver Ekman-Larsson on a Leafs power play where, listen, like they got outplayed in that game, but yet there they were, down 1 with a couple minutes to go on the power play, and their point man on the power play just gifts it to Owen Power, who makes a nice little 2-on-1 play to get it to tuck behind the defenseman, and then he tucks it in. No pun intended. So you got your win there on Friday. They were the better team. Another assist by Zach Benson on the night. He's up to 7 on the season as he continues to lead the Buffalo Sabres in points, by the way. Then we got to Saturday, and the couple Thompson goals were nice. We already talked about the Byram goal. Already talked about the Dakota Joshua goal a little bit. The overtime goal, I just want to point something out very quickly. That overtime goal, this is where 3-on-3 can get you, and it's where you need quick reads, and you need to be fresh when you're on the ice at all times. Because that breakaway should not have happened. I mean, really, everybody on the ice played that breakaway the wrong way. Well, not everybody, I guess, but I guess Power is the biggest culprit, because when you're on the ice like that, there's more pressure to make a good play when you're in alone like that on a goaltender, because it's not just the downside when you're at 5-on-5 and you mess up a play like that, like Owen Power did, the downside is, maybe I've got a 3-on-2 going back the other way, or maybe it's a 2-on-1, but it's rarely ever a breakaway. When you do that at 3-on-3, because you have two, especially when you're a defenseman, two forwards are oftentimes going to be low in the play. You are giving the opportunity for someone to get in behind you and go in alone on your goaltender. And that's what happened there. It really was a crucial miss by Owen Power. He doesn't even get a shot off. Make the goalie make a save and cover it. And honestly, that would have been looked at as a good defensive play. Honestly, because it would have prevented the breakaway going back the other direction. Tage also, I think, I don't want to get too much on his case because I thought he was the Sabres' best player on the night. He scored 2 goals, right? The game was not his fault. But I want a quicker read there. I want a quicker read by Tage. I want him to realize the situation at hand, especially when he's tired. He is nearing the end of his shift, and Power has jumped into the play, and the other Sabres forward, I think it was Doan at the time, is down low in the other corner with one of the other Leaf players. He has got to be ahead of the game there and realize, even when Power has the puck, if Power doesn't score here, I'm the only man back. So before Power even loses the puck, Tage has got to be getting back. And that is not what happened on that play. He kind of watched the puck just a little bit too long, and that is what caused him to be stuck behind Tavares. And because he is at the end of his shift, he's not catching Tavares. So it's a goal. I also maybe would like a save by UPL there. It's just a shot. Tavares kind of took it from a little bit far out for a breakaway. Love your goalie to bail you out, especially one that makes $5 million a year. But I'm just not going to be expecting that guy to be the one to bail them out on saves like that for pretty much the rest of the season. When we come back, what are they going to do? Luukkonen, Lyon, Ellis. We'll get to the plan, my thoughts on what they should do when we come back here on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by Gametime. All right, so the Sabres are not home they're home tomorrow and then back on the road in Boston. So you want to go to the game tomorrow? You're feeling good about maybe a Sabres win over Columbus because, of course, it's a bad team that they're playing and a really good shot. Hockey season's here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, tickets can be a total headache. Waiting in the queues, surprise fees, prices that'll jump right before checkout. It is easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. So that's where Gametime comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. You get to see what you pay, no hidden fees at checkout. It's not going to give you one total at the start, and then, you hit checkout, so now I'm going to give you this brand new total with all the fees built in. They're not going to do that. Zone deals, big game changer. You pick the section, Gametime picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, let's get into it. What should the Buffalo Sabres do in goal? What will they do coming back this week? Now, one thing to point out that is a little weird, a little frustrating, almost a little bit unbelievable, but whatever. The Sabres go with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen on Saturday night. And maybe you thought that was trending that direction because UPL was the backup to Alex Lyon on Friday. So if something had happened to Lyon, UPL would have been the guy that went in. Saturday, we find out that Luukkonen is going to get the start, but via Friedman and other, Sabre talk, that the plan was they were going to start Colten Ellis and that they had even sent Ellis to Toronto early so that he would get well rested and acclimated. I don't know. A weird excuse. The drive, I just did the drive. Well, to be fair, with Blue Jays traffic and rush hour on a Friday, it was almost a 3-hour drive. My way back was an hour and 40 minutes. So depending on when Colten Ellis went to Toronto, it might have taken him 90 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, hour 50 minutes to get there. So rest, all right, it's not much. It's It's the team bus up to Toronto. It's not like they flew him over to Calgary to get used to the clocks. Very weird. The reason they gave for why he didn't start was that he had some tightness when he woke up on Saturday, and they just wanted to be careful with it. Again, I don't know. It's a weird situation. It's a weird excuse for why he didn't play. Because I thought they were going to go with Luukkonen. I wanted them to go with Colten Ellis, but I thought they were going to go with Luukkonen, and they did. It didn't go well, right? Like he allowed 1.8 goals above expected in that game, which is a horrific number for one game. In fact, it was the most by a Sabre since Luukkonen did it last season. Same number, or actually a higher number, obviously. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe there. What they should do going forward is just so simple, though. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Listen, they are trying to make the playoffs. This drought is 14 years old. They do not have time to worry about what UPL is making. Right now, rank your goaltenders. Get in an office and decide, who do I trust in order in net? Who do I trust the most, the second most, and the least? And right now, I do not know how you could not answer that with Alex Lyon is a definitive, clear-cut number one by a lot. And then right now, number two is Colten Ellis. It's only one game, but he does not have a resume like Luukkonen's does, which is basically a resume of, I don't know what version of this dude is going to show up. And more often than not, it's going to be the bad version. That's Luukkonen. Through 152 games of his NHL career, 51 of them have gone really well. I mean, I'm just doing it by season there. I know he had bad games in the 51-game season. I know he had good games in last season and so on and so forth. But this guy's played 3 full years in the NHL, and one of them went fairly well. The other 2 were bad, and then the previous times where he got some call-ups, it wasn't that great either. So that's Luukkonen for you. How is that more trustworthy than a dude that did great in his only start and was amazing in the AHL? I would pick that 10 times out of 10. And I hope they were at their word when they said they were going to start Colten Ellis, because that would imply that Colten Ellis is going to be the next goalie in the net that isn't named Alex Lyon. And we'll see if that's true. Because if Luukkonen's the next goalie in, not named Alex Lyon, then I don't believe them from Saturday. But at the moment, I do believe them. So I think you're going to see Ellis next. I think you're going to see what next that isn't named Alex Lyon. Lyon is going to play against Columbus. In fact, he's already in the starters net, practice on Monday. So full expectation, Alex Lyon at home against the Blue Jackets. And then what? So this week, Sabres go Tuesday night home Columbus, Thursday night at Boston, Saturday night home Washington, and then Tuesday home Utah. So a 2-day rest. They do not have a back-to-back until Friday to Saturday, November 28th and 29th. That's a lot of games before their next back-to-back. Sorry, I did miss one. Wednesday, November 12th, and Thursday, November 13th. They go at Utah, at Colorado on the West Coast. So you'll see one of the other goalies then. Before that back-to-back stretch, they have 6 games. Here's what I would do. I want to see Colten Ellis again, but I think Alex Lyon has earned this net, and I think he should keep running with it. I think of these 6 games, you should give 5 of them to Alex Lyon if he keeps playing well. If he keeps going and he doesn't give you a reason to take him out, and he's not looking like he's hurt or anything, and he's doing okay cardio-wise or whatever, rest-wise, I think you start him 5 of the 6. And I think the other game that I would give would be to Colten Ellis. I would not start Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And I said this last week, and I still believe it. In fact, I believe it obviously even more strongly now. I would not start Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen until one of the other 2 goalies gives you a reason to. I don't think it should just be his net because he's back. I do not think they should just get him in the mix because he's highly paid and they've committed to him. Don't care. Don't care what they've committed to him. This team's trying to make the playoffs. I need to run with my best goaltenders. And right now, there's no doubt that's Alex Lyon. And I have more reason to believe that Ellis is number 2. So I'd go Lyon against Columbus. I think I'd go Lyon against Boston. I think I would probably then go, man, maybe not. What do you do? Where's the right game to get Ellison? Because you got the 2-day break. You get Saturday to Tuesday. Washington to Utah. So that'd be nice to go Lion. Lion didn't play on Saturday. Lions only played one of the last 3. So, all right, here you go. Lion, I would go Lion all of the first 3 games. Then I would play Lion against Utah. Then I would go Ellis against St. Louis. And then Lyon back against Carolina. So I guess what I'm saying is I would start Alex Lyon each of the next 4 games. You get Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday in the next week. 4 games in 7 days. I think he can handle that. And I would do it. And then I would come back with Ellis, which actually that works anyway, right? Ellis against his former team. He gets to play him against the Blues. Perfect plan. 4 games for Lyon. You go Ellis against St. Louis. And if Lyon had been playing well, you go back to Ellis against or Lyon against Carolina. And then you split it. Lyon and Ellis on Wednesday, Thursday, the following week. So that's what I would do. Luukkonen out of the rotation until somebody gives him a reason to get back in. We'll see what they do. Well, we know what they're doing tomorrow. It's going to be Lyon tomorrow. Lineup stuff tomorrow. We'll preview the matchup with the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Sabres do not sit in a playoff spot today. They are 9 points, which, by the way, it's so early for all of this, I know, but there are 9 teams at either 8 or 9 points right now in the Eastern Conference. The Sabres are both tied for a playoff spot and also 1 point out of last place. Everybody in the East is like 500. NHL. It's what they're going to do with their overtime loss structure. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We'll preview the game against Columbus, what the Blue Jackets got going on, and a lot of interesting lineup stuff for tomorrow as the Sabres are getting healthier. Jordan Greenway is getting closer. Michael Kesselring is getting closer. We'll see if they're going to be ready to go tomorrow, and if they are, who comes out? What do the lines look like? Is Noah Ostlund going to get out of the lineup? Like, lots to get to on tomorrow's show. You want more hockey talk? Check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Check out Locked On NHL Game Night. You can find them wherever you get your podcast, especially on YouTube as well. Talk to you tomorrow here in the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.